What is up, guys? I just ate the most bland takeout from a diner ever. The experience was comparable to eating water, but it was sustaining, and so I'm grateful. But I am 100% convinced that diner food is taking advantage of old people's lack of taste buds. So anyways, today's video is about the art of learning. Well, no, literally, this book, The Art of Learning. And in a very general sense, right? I was inspired by this book that I was reading in school, right? To make this video. I wanted to make it for a while, but I didn't have a basis. So let me say it right off the bat. This video is about getting better at Siege. I bet you saw that coming, but hear me out. Really in any game in general. And I want to try to streamline how you can do that. What qualifies me? Absolutely nothing. It's just theory. But if you were to stick along and listen, I don't know, it seems pretty rational. I'm going to be honest. It's more about, honestly, the consistency to actually commit to doing things than it is about any particular magical, superstitious like activity. Like, you're not gonna rub your nipples 3 times and do a backflip to attain better skill in a video game. It's more so like which ways are most effective and what mindset is most effective. And my example game for this is Siege. Yeah, of course. And I'm actually really bad at Siege right now, so this is a well-needed video. The Art of Learning, right, is a book about Josh Watkins, which I know nothing about whatsoever. But Josh Watkins, you know, apparently, after reading the prologue of the book, expresses that he was a very talented chess player, and he's also very skilled in Tai Chi as well, which is a martial art after a certain degree. I don't know. Originally, it's not. It's just a chillful thing from what I've knowledge. It's just more aspect of discipline. But eventually, it becomes martial. In this book, so far in the prologue, he expresses a state of something. This is what inspired me to make this video. A state that's universal and that can be brought among multiple different art forms. So like chess, to Siege, to art, to whatever you would like. But in his particular case, he's a chess player and he falls off or he just stops playing. And then he gets into Tai Chi and then he masters this and then he translates his ability to learn or to focus ultimately as well into an efficient way of playing chess. And it's almost like he's playing Tai Chi or he's doing Tai Chi while he's playing chess. And it's like this universal flow state, which is a very familiar like terminology I think multiple people have used, which is the state of flow. And what does this flow mean, right? To me, this flow is a state where you're most efficient, where you're doing as good as you can. And in Siege, that means clicking heads left and right. And it's where you're as skillful and as proud as you can be at whatever it is. And this can be in soccer, this can be in whatever. And I'm saying art form, but what I really mean is field of any kind. In this case, we're trying to drag it down to Siege because I'm horrible at Siege. And I think a lot of Siege players, or in any game, have a plateau where they kind of middle out and then they get bored, they get off the game, and then they're bad again. And then they complain or they're angry or they're this or they're that. And it can happen in anything in real life. I'm just using a video game just for fun. But yeah, let's hop into what I think could be the most effective way to be good at a game. So for the sake of time, this is broken into 2 parts, 2 aspects, the practical aspect and the mental aspect. And I'll start with the practical aspect. So the first thing that you're going to need to do, right, to secure that you are the most skillful player is learn the mechanics at your disposal. So for Siege, this is drones, this is movement, this is your gun skill. For soccer, it varies. For chess, it varies. For Tai Chi, it varies. For racing, it varies. For whatever craft, for whatever sport, whatever field, it varies. But for Siege, do you want to utilize how to use your drones, how to move, and have conservative movement that protects your body, and have good gun skill. And, well, as the name entails, it's practical, so you're going to practice. So you're going to utilize these things, specifically in Siege, in a terrace hunt, and you're going to actually do the things that make you good. You're not going to run dead center of a room and then die. That's not going to show you anything. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're consciously setting up stuff. And a very important part of this is being consistent. So before you play every time, play a terrace hunt, even if it's mediocre. Like, I would recommend doing it till you feel comfortable. But if you don't feel like you have time, just play one. And you can see where your issues are, play another, and then you can get on. But I suggest playing that for a while. I mean, I know people who play for like 30 minutes, honestly, and that's like, sometimes that's not enough for some people if you're doing really bad. in terms of aim and all the mechanical things that you're not doing. And in a little bit, I'll go over specific mechanics unique to Siege that will make you better. So if you're a newer player and you want to learn quick peeking, for example, which is the most popular method of peeking that's safe, I'm going to go over that. And not using your drones is just like immature, honestly. It's easy to have that impatience, but at the end of the day, you need that to win. Otherwise, you're gonna have a severe disadvantage running into a room with a vigil camping in the corner, and then you die because you didn't know. You just simply couldn't have known. And it's gonna make you mad. So then we go to the next thing, mental aspect. This is where you get thrown off from that vigil camping in the corner. You have to maintain emotional equilibrium. And how do you do this, right? It seems easier said than done. I mean, I've broken controllers before over games, but recently I have the opposite, where I just don't seem to care. But either which way, either is bad. You want to maintain emotional equilibrium, and methods of trying to maintain a like solid state of mind consist of listening to music while playing. You can always do that. And I didn't really consider this as a valid option until like a year ago, because somebody who's listening, I was thinking to myself, like, you're going to be distracted. And while that can occur, it's not necessarily true. It can help you create a balanced mind where you're relaxed and enjoying the game. And another way to ground yourself in the same way that music does is by socializing with your friends. You should be doing, honestly, anything but going on TikTok in the start of a round. And if socializing with your friends or listening to music helps you drone out so you know what you're going to be doing, then why not do it? And I would say communicating with yourself is another efficient method as well too, especially if you're self-distracted like I am. I'll get myself completely distracted or get bored per se. I'll come up with a whole plan in my head. I'm like, oh, we're going to take sight this way. My brain just shuts off after that. Because I'm like, oh, I came up with a plan, now what? Keep talking to yourself about what's going to happen next, especially if you're an overthinker. Oh, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Go this way, that. Keep droning. Make sure your drone is set in place, so when you actually execute, that you have the stuff to do so. The next thing is to just simply make sure that, back to relaxing, that you're not tense. Because if you're tense, in terms of stressed while playing a game, it's a video game. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And the more stressed you are, the greater strength your opponent has, not only to get under your skin to enrage you, but also in terms of playing ability, because you're blinded by your anger sometimes. And especially in Siege, or really any game, Siege is especially rage-inducing. You can also combat this rage by taking care of yourself. So you can literally take a break. At any given time, the world is free. So you can literally get up and go do some push-ups. I think exercise is the healthiest way to dissipate rage of any kind. And I love to do that in a social setting, honestly. Some kid at school is bullying you, just do push-ups until you're physically strong enough to where you can beat the shit out of them. I don't know. That's how I think about it. But if you're thinking in the extent of Siege, it literally doesn't hurt you in any way. Doing exercise releases endorphins that make you feel physically good, so it'll balance it out. And if you need a break from Siege to feel like you want to play it again, then do that. And if we go back to like the motivation thing, if you're not motivated to play it, take a break. If it's not worth playing, go play a different game. You know what I mean? You don't need to feel obligated to play it, because I've been in ruts where I just keep playing Siege for no reason. If you're not feeling it, don't play it. Like, if you're passionate about a dead horse, it's not going anywhere. Another positive enhancer of skill, that's another facet of your mentality, is treating your teammates with respect or being neutral if you're struggling to do so. It's very important for the entirety of your team that you treat them with respect and, call to them and communicate with them the best you can. There are situations where they give you disrespect, and I don't think you should respond to them. There's no instance where you're trying to be nice and you're being put down. In those instances, I personally just mute everybody, because I think it's more efficient for me to not be distracted and just play. But if the best you can do is be nice and everyone else is nice, that's a great situation. On a different side, if you're more of a manager type of person, right, which I'm kind of like this, it can be obnoxious, but it could also be really efficient. If you like to manage your team and be very expressive of what you want and be like, we need this up, we need to do this, and people are listening and it's working and everyone's that perfect temperament where they like, it works with them and everything's going good, then continue to do that. That's great. If you have the opposite situation where you're putting all your energy into helping the team, but you're going 0-7 and they're going like 1, everybody has 1 each and the other team is winning by far, stop that analyze yourself, accept it, and realize that you have to now focus on yourself and winning single-handedly. And in this situation, you're still going to maintain like listening to your team and stuff, assuming they're respectful and maybe they're just not doing too well in terms of like getting kills. But if they're respectable, you're still going to maintain calls with them, but you're just going to focus on yourself predominantly and go for the win on your own pretty much. So you're still going to drone, you're going to get aggressive, but you're still going to play smart, take your time, use cover conservatively to not die. And if you're good enough, or if you play it cautiously enough, ultimately, you will win, even with a team that's not doing too good. But it's all about being capable of shifting in the moment. The next thing I mentioned earlier, we're talking about practice, and it's a part of movement. And it's patience. If you run dead center in a room without droning it, you're probably gonna die, or if not, die the next second because you didn't plan that and you got hurt while you were running in the center of the room. So make sure that you are being patient at all times. If there's 10 seconds on the clock towards the end of anything, keep a sound mind. Think of it slowly, because the more you rush yourself, there will be a greater weakness in your decisions. So make sure you are taking your time at all times. Literally, like 5 seconds on the clock, slowly take your time. It's better to just not die while you were trying to get a nice kill that would win guaranteed than to just rush in and die and it didn't mean anything. If we get into specific mechanics in terms of Siege, aim is the key one. And when you practice, you're going to want to go into terrace hunt, and you're going to always want to shoot at head level. Always practice that. Don't practice shooting at head level. And in terms of a real game, when you get into higher ranks, it's typical of people to shoot you while at crouch height. So you're going to want to expect that. And you're going to get into a rut where you pre-fire where the head height is. And it's pretty safe to pre-fire where the head level is, even if not, because then you'll hit the body, somebody will move out of the way, or you'll just shoot them in the chest at that point and it's accepted. But your goal isn't to do that. And so you're going to always go for the head. You're going to, as I said earlier, maintain conservative movement. What does that mean? That means, like in real life, you would during a war, stay behind cover. In a lot of sports, this is a similar concept, a conservative movement, not necessarily cover, but conservative plays. You're not going to make a risky play because it doesn't ensure the highest probability of winning to make a risky play. You want something that has a really balanced likelihood of winning. And then when you're winning, when you're 3-0 and the enemy team has no wins, no rounds won, and you're about to win, do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, if you want to win, you're gonna make smart choices till the very end because you want to win and you're serious. Let me address the movement itself. The meta for Siege has not changed in quite some time. It's been the same for a while. And it's just consists of crouch spamming if you're swinging a corner, if you're really lazy, to just quick peeking everything. So you're gonna scan a room from left to right as always, or right to left if that's what you see. And you're basically securing that you're as safe as possible from every angle while you're doing it. And this is universal in a lot of things. Make sure you're secured in every approach, especially in chess. If you compare it to the book that I was reading, like you want to make sure you're thinking numerous steps around you and also ahead, and in thinking behind, like what did this not work? I'm not going to do this again. It's not safe. Done. End of story. Doing a new thing. If we go back to the mental side of it, there is the factor of, like I said, considering where you could be shot from in Siege and other things. What could be the failure here if I do this? So just don't. Just do the simpler route. Go back around to your team. Think in a very linear fashion. It doesn't have to be that complex sometimes. It can be more safe. You know what I mean? Because Siege is a very complex game, so it almost tricks you into thinking, oh, I must do this crazy play, or I have this idea, let's go execute it, and then you die. Like, oh, let's go into sight with Mario shotgun. Oh, it's going to work great. And you get 2 kills, and then your whole team dies, because now you've lost control. And this is the last thing for mental that I would say, and it's responsibility. You have to always maintain entire responsibility. If you feel that you got killed unjustly and you're about to get angry, at the end of the day, you didn't play with conservative cover where you were maintaining secure cover and you died. You got outplayed. You have to think to yourself, I made an inferior play. That person legitimately outplayed me. Unless the servers go down spontaneously or you trip over a rock and while playing, it's your fault. And this is universal across all sports, is acknowledging that you failed and that is completely okay. And moving forward and not fueling a vicious cycle of rage where you say, oh, he's bad, he's horrible. And then you rush inside, do the exact same thing and die. Because you A, didn't drone, but B, were fueled by the rage of your pass round. You have to drop it and then continue through a different way. It's not about proving anybody anything. And I said that was the last one, but this is really the last one. Maintaining focus on you the entire time. This happens in all sports. This is the biggest distracting factor, I would say, is cockiness, right? So when you start to like think you're doing good, right? The greatest strength is to, when you're doing good, still be within yourself. And consider that there's the possibility of losing even when you're winning, and maintain a more secure approach to playing. So like I just said earlier, if you have 3 rounds won and you're about to win and they have 0, don't run out, because you could be the winning component that throws the entire round, and it's all your fault entirely because you made the decision, because you were like, oh, and it's all about fun. So if that's worth it to you, which it is to me a lot of the times, I don't care. But if you want to be the best of the best and you take this like ideology seriously, you can't ever risk that, especially on a more competitive level. If you're playing like in Pro League or something, you're not going to see that. They're not going to see joke plays like ever. Well, rarely, I should say. But yeah, I hope these ideologies helped you if you're a newer player, or if you're an old player, or if maybe you're a veteran player. It's just a principle that will like help you succeed, or at least draw forward maybe what you've forgotten. But I hope you guys have a great day or night, and remember to subscribe if you enjoyed it. I'm going to throw in right now how to quick peek in some movements for Siege for newer players. But yeah, you're free to go. See ya. Annoying. Okay, so if we look at Siege, right, if we go into training grounds, I personally, I know a lot of people that switch up their maps, but I personally think that it's important to have a consistent map so you can get down where you're aiming, right? But I also don't argue with the notion that variation is key to having your own individualized success, as opposed to like, you know, you're not just used to this guy being around the corner, so that's pretty unfair if you can just shoot through a wall. And I do that quite often on this map. Don't do this map. This map actually has some errors in it where the terrorists will get caught. But on a separate note, so here's what you're gonna do, right? Number 1 step to practicing. This is about practicing ultimately, but it's also about mechanics. It's really important. You don't want to practice what you're not going to do. So simply put, make sure you have realistic stuff on. If you can't control extended, don't put extended on. And you can always practice and, you know, get that down, but it's going to make stuff more difficult. And there's a psychology behind it, where, you know, you're kind of good for the first few times that you play with it, but when you get into an actual game, you're not going to do too swell. So there's no point in doing it. Don't waste your time. Play what you're comfortable with, unless there's a true value to playing what you're not comfortable with. So the first thing we're going to go over real quick is quick peeking, right? Very common, you'll see, and there are 2 variations of quick peeking, quote unquote, right? And quick peeking in nature is just to gain info. It's not to kill necessarily, right? So, sorry, somebody's above me. I can smell them. Okay, I'm a bot. So how quick peeking functions is you're just going to scan a room, like I've explained before, from right to left, depending on where you are. So if I'm here, I'm just going to do this, right? And this is called strafe peeking, right? This is not quick peeking, but I'm calling it a variant of quick peeking. So basically you're going to strafe, you're tilted. So you're maintaining your body behind cover for the most part. Like, you know, like if you tilt a gun like this, my head is just peeking out and most of my body's safe. So this is strafe peeking. This is a more basic thing if you're struggling. If you're struggling to quick peek, because it can be difficult. But so we'll start off with this. This is a basic. You should always be doing this at least. And you'll see Pro League players do this. It's not bad at all. But I like quick peeking personally. I personally think it gives you a smaller window of being seen. But I don't know. So it's about intel. I'm going to come here. I'm already tilted. That's the key to it. So I'm tilted the correct way. If you're this way, you're going to be aiming this way. If you're this way, you're going to be aiming this way. And as I expressed, it's because your body is most safe that way. And all these other factors I'm considering as well in a real game is who's behind me, right? And I'm using my ears as well. That's a big part of that. But if you're getting flanked, the enemy's going to be as quiet as possible. So you want to be in a secure position generally. So I'm going to check this coming up. I can hold Alt to walk silently. If you're in a different game, you can do similar things. So I'm here. I check this, right? So I'm gonna strafe, I check. This is if I think somebody's in here. I don't do this if I really don't, but you should drone if you don't think somebody's in a room. Right? So I cleared this room and I did it like this. If I'm coming this way and I'm checking this room, I'm gonna do it from this to this. You can, you know, get a little alt walk going if you want, whatever you want. You want to be quick so you don't get shot. So I scan the room and I've gathered that nobody's in here, right? So being conscious of my body or conservative of my movement, I'm gonna make sure I'm maintaining cover. And if I see a head, I'm taking it, and I'm maintaining cover when I reload. Right? And then I'm strafing when I peek. So making sure that I'm maintaining cover. That's really what strafing is, continuing that cover. And go here. So now we'll go over the real quick peek. This is the Shaiko peek is what it's called, I believe, this current one. So you're already tilted. You come up to a window, and you're going to use D to move out, assuming that's your bind to move to the right, and assuming you're on the side. You're gonna move out. You're gonna click Q to tilt the opposite direction. Then you're gonna move in. And you're going to spam this. I have my hand in a very weird spider position. My keyboard is kind of at a 5-degree tilt. And I'm doing this with my hand. Like, it's this like very awkward side thing. And some people, very skilled people that I've talked to, will recommend you change your bindings on your mouse. So it's easier for you to use. And if you're okay with that, do that. I'm too lazy to do that, and I never found that comfortable for me. So I didn't look into it. But if it really bothers you to use the default bindings of Q and E, switch it up. But I have the default bindings. I have my hand in a weird position. And I'll put a picture on screen of what that looks like. And so quick, like I said, you can rewind the video to what I said. You're going to go out. You're going to click Q to go back in, move back in to the left. So you're out, doing the opposite, turning in, out, doing the opposite, turning in. And then you get this flicking motion. You see how it flicks. It's not working if you're not kind of getting a flick. And you're making sure you maintain cover. If you're doing something like this, you're not really doing it fast enough, right? And to start, that's perfectly okay. But notice how this is different from this little flick that I'm getting. You know, this is different. And the same for the other side. This is people's stronger side usually is coming from this side. So same principle. You move out and you're scanning from the lightest spot to the thinnest spot. So you're checking here for a head. You're checking there for a head. You're gonna be like, I'm scanning the same as I would, and it's clear, or it's not. And you can execute the person, or you can just run the other way. And now you have that intel. Tell your team, set up a trap, set up a claymore, whatever you're feeling. Okay, so now the next movement, we'll go back to variation in gun skill, right? What do I mean by that? It's not a real terminology. I'm just making it up on the spot. But what I mean by that is when you're actually engaging in a kind of peeker battle with somebody, let's say somebody's at that door peeking me, and I'm right here, you want to variate your height. So I'm up here, I'm quick peeking. I'm like, oh, I see that head. Oh, I'm tapping. He's going to pre-fire where I am. I'm going to crouch and pre-fire there. And if you're in a higher rank, I kind of tap head level. You can tap both. But people are going to peek at crouch height because they're doing the same thing as you, trying to keep their body covered and trying to be spontaneous to catch you off guard. So they're going to peek down here very, very often. So you'll see very skilled players just hit them with and get a kill because they're very likely there. I would be there. You'd probably kill me if I did that. And you try to be unique in other situations. So if you want to be even better than that, you either A, don't peek at all. And like I said, wait for your team to help you out, clear that. Or you can peek it in a very erratic manner. So you can hit them with and then give it up. Here, you listen for some shots. And if they're good, they'll just straight up full fire you. They'll just do this and wait for you to peek. If they're bad, they'll like wait a second and then, oh, they're dead. But you want to really vary your movement and utilize cover. So if I'm being creative, I'm going to get off this door entirely. Let's say an enemy's right here peeking me and I'm just like this. I have the disadvantage because their thing is physically out more than mine and they can maintain more cover at all times. I have to go out more to see them. Therefore, this is not a good spot. So in terms of position, you want to be behind somewhere where the opposition isn't physically out further than you, because that means they don't have to peek as hard. So you see how their like thing would be peeked out? My whole body's exposed right now. I can be shot very, very easily, and even if I were to evade it, there's a little delay and they could pre-fire, hit my head on a pixel, gone. So if I'm being unique and I see that, right, what I'm gonna do is be like, and you know, you can utilize your cover and be creative with your environment. That's the best thing about Siege, is your ability to destruct things and be in a unique position. And I don't ever recommend going prone, but in certain situations, let's say he's about to rush up and you don't know what to do, put it prone. He doesn't know what to do. Or you have some time and you peek this like this. Fire, immediately get out of that prone position because you're really vulnerable. Get back up, you're ready. Do not get on the desk, that was an accident. But yeah, you get it. And those are the rudimentary techniques that you're going to utilize. Stay behind cover and drone out everything that you're not sure. If you don't think somebody's in a room, drone it out really quick. If you're like certain somebody's in a room, be more aggressive and quick peek. I was talking to my friend Matt, right, just a few days ago, and he told me people don't actually quick peek that much in higher ranks. And the reality is they have kind of a game sense and they're droning, or they're just not, and they're just absolutely game sense balling. The aim is where it's all at. But in terms of consistency and being safe and winning the majority, those really good players are great. You know, Matt is a very talented player, but he does not win all of his fights because he'll just rush in. And his gun skill is better than a lot of other people's, but it's not good enough to get him a secured win every time. So he will lose quite often, and that's why he's not champion, because he will make that mistake. And there are psychological factors that play into this, right? If you have ADHD, for example, or if you're you have a relatively low tolerance for like pleasure, like you need that rush of getting in sight and getting a fight, you're gonna put yourself in a easy to lose spot. I'm exactly like that. I do that. So you have to kind of be aware of yourself, be cognizant of yourself, and if you need music to distract you, or if you can just simply talk to people while you play, try to work out what you're going to do and be as in the game as you can possibly be, you're going to be better. And if you're forcing yourself to drone, you're going to be better. It's that simple. And I hope this helped you guys. I hope this helps you if you're a skilled player, maybe, you know, compose yourself a little, because I know so many skilled players who I wouldn't say are good because they have this crazy mechanical skill, but they cannot consistently win, which is the core value of any sport, any game, anything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my mansplaining. Have a great night. Or day.